Hi friends, today I am going to talk on a topic which is being lot talked about and flaunted. This is about women's safety, and the big question to you is India safe for women in all places at all times? Mahatma Gandhi had said that women in India can only feel safe if they can walk freely without any dangers at night everywhere. But is that so? No. After this horrific rape and murder of this 31-year-old postgraduate trainee in Arjikar College and Hospital, with the Supreme Court coming in, High Court giving the charge of investigation to CBI with nothing coming out till about how the rape was done, who were the culprits, though people have been arrested. The Supreme Court dilly-dallying any decision without talking hard brass tacks. There is nothing till now which is there on the plate. No fast track courtism to finish and catch the criminal. The case has shifted to a corruption case. Why? Nobody is questioning what happened at the crime site. Why was the evidence tampered with? Why was the FIR late in being lodged? And so on and so on. Finally, with all this public outrage, with time dying down, the trauma stays only with the parents, like in the many cases that have happened, like the Nirbhaya case, the Unnao rape case, and also when this public outrage is still on, there are cases which are happening in UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Goa, and not only with women but with minors and elders also. So here only catching hold of that one criminal and hanging him is not the solution. It is the change in our mindset which has to be done. The male have to stop seeing women as a sexual object, as an object for carnal desires. तभी ये दरिंदगी बंद हो सकती है. And then crime on women is not only rape and murder. It can happen at all levels. So despite advancements in technology and urbanization, women in India continue to face violence and discrimination. And it is very distressing to note that 88 rape cases are reported daily in the country and many go unrecorded. Despite our rich cultural heritage, our diversity, this is happening. Why can't we all collectively as a community say कि ये नहीं होना है and get down to it with a forceful attitude? So the various crimes that are happening on the woman at different stages, like I said, so we have crime against the woman starting from the birth. We have the beta culture where the daughters are killed in the fetus, that is female infanticide. Then discrimination after birth because of the so-called beta culture which I was just talking about. They are not given education, married off early, that is the childhood marriage. Then gender disparities in education and all kind of fields for their growth. When they reach adulthood, they are subjected to domestic violence, outraging of modesty. Majority of the girls have had physical abuse at some stage or the other. Then kidnapping, abduction to be wives where the female dominance is lesser compared to the male. The women are kidnapped to be wives, which are as good as being maids to do the cooking, washing of utensils, and then the honor killings. It's very surprising that just because the daughter has fallen in love with somebody from the different community or caste, they are killed. How can a father or a mother think of killing their own daughter? Very surprising. And then the elderlies, crimes on them, thefts, and then there are perverts who don't even think twice while raping a 80-year-old woman or even a 2-year-old girl who is supposed to be looked at with affection. But then these darindas are there who are ready to do anything just because they see women not as goddesses but as objects of sexual desire. Would they be doing so with their mothers or sisters? I don't think so. उस टाइम उनका सोच अलग हो जाएगा. Today I'll be discussing on the safety issues faced by women in India, the reasons behind the lack of women's safety in India, the initiatives taken by the government to prevent it, the challenges in ensuring safety of women despite the legal and policy initiatives, the implications of prevailing attitudes and crimes against women, and how we should move forward. So, what are the safety issues being faced despite we comparing the women with goddesses like माँ दुर्गा and माँ काली? एक तरफ तो हम उनको देवियों से तुलना करते हैं, बट दूसरे तरफ हम उन पे लांछना डालने के लिए 2 बार सोचते भी नहीं हैं. उसको एक बुरी नजर से देखते हैं. तब याद नहीं आता है कि घर पे माँ बेटी है. बिकॉज ये हमारे सोच में बिगड़ है. Our minds are warped. We need to change our thinking. In the last 10 years, this thinking has changed so much that the NCRB report of 2023 says that there's a 4% increase since 2022, and the reported cases have risen from 4,28,278 in 21 to 4,45,256 in 2022. And the most prevalent type of crimes being recorded are cruelty by husband or his relative, that is about 31.4%, kidnapping and abduction of women 19.2%, assault on women with intent to outrage her modesty 18.7%, rape 7.1%, and we rank a very poor 128th out of 177 countries in the world for women's safety. The National Family Health Survey says that about 30% of women in India between 15 to 50 years have experienced physical, sexual or domestic violence of some kind or the other. So what are the reasons behind this lack of women's safety in our country? First is the prevalence of the patriarchal conditions that we have in India, where it is male dominated. The women are taken to be servants. Cooking, bande dona, ये सब उनका काम है. क्यों भाई? Is it their birthright? Why can't they be educated? Why do we have to think that this is their job? It has to be shared between every member in the house. And एक ये हमारे में सोच है कि लड़की है तो गलत है, बंदा है तो जो करे सब ठीक. Why? सोच बदलो. Then is the generated portrayal of women in the media, reducing them to objects of carnal desires, portraying them as sexual objects with songs like फेविकॉल से चिपका दो मेरे दिल में उतार दो. Why should we portray them in such frames? See them as corporate honchos or liberals who are working at par with their male counterparts. That will also raise their level and the thinking of the other genders. Why think them as the weaker sex only? Then is the cultural stigma regarding sexual violence and harassments, which are leading to underreporting of crimes. Most of the molesting, eve teasing, or rape cases are not reported because the survivor is stigmatized in this society, is put into a watertight compartment, not let to gather the threads of her life back and fight back to stand up again. उस पे ठप्पा लगा देते हैं कि ये किसी गलत काम का शिकार है. गलती उसकी नहीं है, गलती हमारी है. हमें सोच बदलना है हमारा. Then is the economic dependency. We should educate our women, our daughters, our sisters, so that they can stand up, earn for themselves, not be dependent on their brother, fathers, and husbands. Let them earn their own bread. Let them do their own work also. So if they are economically, educationally independent, they will stand up shoulder to shoulder and talk with us eye to eye. Then we will not think of even looking at them with a different mindset. Many women in India are unaware of the legal protections available for women, such as the Domestic Violence Act, Sexual Harassment Act, and this leads to men being more bold in doing something wrong. And finally, inadequate places of safety. There are very few safe restrooms or washrooms where ladies can go for anything, or also the places are not well lit. The public places are basically places where such kind of happenings happen. So we need to do up our infrastructure so that every place is reasonably, relatively safe for everybody. So for child violence, we have the provision of Child Marriage Act 2006, the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act, the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012, against objectification of women, the Indecent Representation of Women Act 1986, against sexual offences we have the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act of 2013, the Criminal Law Act of 2013 for effective legal deterrence against sexual offences, the Criminal Law Act of 2018 for even more stringent penal provisions, including death penalty for rape of a girl below the age of 12 years. Against domestic violence, we have the Dowry Provision Act of 1961, the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. The central government has taken up many initiatives like the establishment of the Nirbhaya Fund, where infrastructure and security measurements can be built up using this fund. Then is the investigation tracking system for sexual offences. The Ministry of Home Affairs has launched it to monitor and track time-bound investigation in sexual assault cases in accordance with Criminal Law Act 2018 and a database of 5 lakh sexual offenders has been made so that an eye can be kept on these people so that they do not become repeat offenders. Then there is a cybercrime portal handled by the Ministry of Home Affairs where such kind of offences done on the social media or in the virtual reality can be reported. And then there are establishment of one-stop centers where the ladies can report emergency or non-emergency cases and action would be taken by these centers to either curb it or catch hold of the offender. Then we have the scheme for universalization of the women helpline, which has been launched to provide 24 hours safety, and there are certain numbers which should be sent out amongst the women so that they can call up these numbers in case of any emergencies that may occur. Then the state governments have other initiatives like the Mission Shakti by the UP government. The Delhi government has set up police pink booths. The Maharashtra Assembly has passed the Shakti Criminal Laws Act to approve death penalty for heinous offences of rape and gang rape. Then is the Meri Saheli initiative launched by the Railway Protection Force, where this initiative ensures security of lady passengers that are travelling by a train by a dedicated Mahila officers team. And online movements on the social media like Me Too, It's Not Okay kind of campaigns which have been going on, which have caught quite a bit of momentum so that offenders have been put out into the public domain and also some have been punished. So what are the challenges that are there in ensuring the safety of women despite having so many legal procedures, laws, acts and also helplines? It is because there is delayed justice. Case dar badar chalta rehta hai. Like in a movie, there is a dialogue कि कानून के हाथ लंबे तो इतने हैं बट कानून में इतने छेद है कि जब तक ऑफेंडर पकड़ा जाता है वो उस लूप होल में से निकल जाता है. एंड फाइनली सफरर कौन है? द सर्वाइवर. देन इज द लैक्सिटी in the conviction procedure where 35% of officers believe complaints of gender-based violence are baseless. Prevalent culture of prompt registration of FIRs, lack of time-bound investigation and ineffective collection of forensic evidence in sexual assault cases lead to inordinate delays in conviction of sexual harassment cases. Then we have the half-hearted implementation. Supreme Court has called out the authorities, employers, for failing to ensure a safe and secure place for the woman. It has been observed that the implementation of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act has been half-hearted. Most of the offices and the public places do not have safety precautions or safe prisons where the woman can rest or do their work. Then is the ineffective utilization of public funds. Very surprising that funds which are given for women's safety are not spent. The Nirbhaya fund has been reimbursed back to the government and not even 50% was spent. So there is a lack of will amongst us not to spend the funds which are given for a certain purpose. Then what are the implications of prevailing attitudes and crime against the woman? That is dissuading the woman from entering the workforce. The crimes against women is a factor influencing India's chronologically low female workplace population. The women are not given an equal status in the job arena. People would like to have a male than a female in most of the places. But today, yes, the scenario is changing. Then is the chauvinistic attitude in the family where the men folk think that We go to office, so what if the woman is working, she needs to go back to the kitchen. That mentality has to change. Then there are societal attitudes leading to more crimes. That is because the girl child is seen with a different perspective and a skewed ratio, which is leading to kidnapping of women from one state to the other for getting wives, which is not correct. Then is the physical and mental health consequences. Victims of sexual violence experience severe physical injuries which can lead to long-term health issues such as chronic pain, reproductive health problems, and increased susceptibility to sexually transmitted diseases including HIV. Then impact of families and children. Children who are witnessing violence against their mothers often get emotionally traumatized. They have a disbalance. Then showing of women in the social media as objects and not as goddesses is a big retrograde to why women's safety is not being able to be implemented, or certain movies portray the woman in such a way that people get wrong thoughts and wrong ideas. So after having discussed whatever little bit that I've spoken, which are basically some data, some of my personal views, which I would like you all to analyze and give in the comment box below whether I am right or wrong. But then what is the way forward? The way forward is for the police to firstly become more strict, control the law and order, so that FIRs should be lodged and the police should not keep playing table tennis with the survivor, sending them from one thana to the other, saying it is not in my jurisdiction. The legal or the police action has to be fast so that the evidence can be captured. Judicial reforms have already been there. There are still being carried out, some in the pipeline. Fast track courts have to be there so that the criminal cannot get away through the loopholes. Cases have to be closed up, not like the Bhavri Devi case or the Unnao rape case that is still hanging in a dilemma. Training of the woman in self-defense is a must. Let us train them so that they are strong. And if somebody has a pervert mind, can give him, let me say it in brass tack, a kick in the balls. So these are required. Also, medical knowledge should be given to them that if such a thing happens, it is not a stigma. They should stand up, fight up, and culturally we should not separate them, but they become part of our team, our family, our environment, our community, so that they can stand up on their feet, and such perverted darindas should be given what they deserve. Then have rape crisis centers like in the US, Canada, America, UK and Australia, where we can give emotional support so that they know that what has happened is not wrong. It is not their fault. They can be got out of the depression and also medically treated so that whatever wrongs that have happened can be corrected medically. Sensitivity on the part of the media. Maybe it is the movie world, the social media, or any other platform. We need to be sensitive to the requirement of the woman so that the women are not seen as objects of sexual desires, but as a person, as a human who is equal to you and me, and also make them participate in the civil society so that they stand up as one equal to us. तो मैं यही कहना चाहूँगा कि we should change our thinking, हमारी सोच बदलनी चाहिए, and look at your mother, look at your sister, and think in the same way when you see another woman instead of seeing her as an object of carnal desire. So दोस्तों, ये मेरा पर्सनल व्यू था। और भी अगर कुछ है तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में नीचे दे सकते हैं, और इस वीडियो को कृपया शेयर करिए सो दैट आरजी कर मेडिकल कॉलेज में जिस 31 वर्षीय पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट ट्रेनी का दरिंदगी के तरीके से रेप और मर्डर हुआ है, उसको जस्टिस मिले, और कुछ जो हैवान है उनके दिमाग में कुछ गुड सेंस प्रिवेल करे। जय हिंद।